Other way. Oh no, it's tightening it, Vivi. Numpty. No, that's tightening it. Oh, Vivi. Morning, everybody. How are you all doing today? I hope you're well. Gosh, it's so bright. Momentarily bright. When the... excuse that car. When the wind drops, there almost feels like a little tiny bit of warmth in the air. So I can get my hoodie off, yay! But every now and again that wind blows through and it's really quite chilly. You know, we're still, I think we're due 2 more nights which could be possible frost nights. That's okay, because as I was talking about when I did the tour video, I hadn't got beds ready for potatoes, onions, carrots, parsnips, that sort of thing. So in a way, the frost nights have done me a favour, because there's no point in planting anything yet. I want these frost nights out of the way, then we're going to really start to warm up properly, great. And in the meantime, exactly as I said in that tour video, I can come down, do a lumpy, humpy, bumpy job, like doing a bit of bed prep, and then do a couple of the smaller jobs to catch up on. Today, fixing my plot sign is one of my little jobs. I'm doing some sewing as well. In the tour I was saying, let me see if I can get this going as we chat. Lefty loosey, yeah. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Yeah, in the tour video I was saying how, you know, if I can get down here every day, do 1 bed a day, plus other little jobs, yay, I'll soon catch up, etc, etc. The fact is, it's impossible for me to get here every day. I've got too many other things to do. Still doing a lot, like by way of sort of phone calls and backwards and forwards to my great aunts. So, and that's fine. That's all fine. It just means, you know, it's that thing of when I do come, just try and make the most of it. I find that, gotcha, I really want to get this off. So this is my old rotten sign post. So I want to get this off because it's what my sign hangs on, so I can mount it onto the new post. But it's all a bit rusty and tight. Speaking of rusty, oh, he's had his cuddlies off. Yeah, I'm finding that, oh, is this going to be a nightmare? This was supposed to be a little job. Oh, it's going to stitch me up like a kipper, isn't it? Oh, is it budging? Right, I think I might have to do it off camera because it's going to be, I might need to swear at it. Yes, what I'm finding is I've had to change slightly the way I garden over the years, and that's fine. These days I find, you know, once upon a time I'd be happy to come here 1 or 2 days a week on my days off, and I'd spend 10 hours here and I'd work. I just can't do that anymore because of the old knee bones. But that's okay, I can kind of adjust and change. So these days what I find is I'll try to come at this time of year 3 times a week. If I can do 4, if I can sneak a 4th visit in, yay. And when I do come, I'm probably here for about 4 hours. But of that 4 hours, there's probably only about 2 hours of work. So I do a bit and I sit a bit. I do a bit and I sit a bit. You know, a year or so ago, even 2 years ago, that was really frustrating to me. But I've really learned in these last few months, couple of years or so, that, you know, that's okay. Whatever it takes to get it done that doesn't, you know, really hurt. I'm so dying to have a go at this. You just do what you can do when you can do it. And as long as you do it consistently, you know, it should be manageable. I hope, you know, sort of by saying that gives, it's coming out, that gives some of you hope too, who may be in the early stages of a minor disability, because let's face it, it is a minor disability. But that if you're struggling like that too, it is possible to still grow a whole year's worth of food. You just have to adjust how you work. Yeah, do a bit, sit a bit. Right, that's done. Now, behind me I've got the post that I salvaged last February. It's taken me a year. I've got my saw. This makes me laugh every time. I didn't buy this make on purpose. I think it was one of those, I've got it from the local pound shop. I think it was the only shop open when I needed a saw. But every time I see it, it makes me laugh. It makes me think of, do any of you remember wrestling on the TV? The old days of wrestling. Kendo Nagasaki? He was always a baddie. So, was it Big Daddy? Big Daddy would always beat Kendo Nagasaki because Kendo was a baddie. Anyway, yeah, random, but it tickles me. Right, I'm going to turn you all off for a minute. Get this out. Oh, and of course, oh, joy of joys, I'm sitting at my table, my fixed table. So it's all around this edge here. Like I said, underneath there's a new piece of wood that's been cut to shape and size, underneath screwed in. I did find out who did it, and when I saw him, the first thing I said to him was, "You made me cry." And he was like, "What? What's the matter?" I was joking, of course. I let him know just how utterly moved I was that he'd done it. And oh, he's such a diffident bloke anyway, and he just went, "Oh, pff, pff, I needed something to do." Bless him. Anyway, right, saw the post, let's get the post in, and then it's time to do my first, oh no, I was going to say my first lot of sowings in the garden, but of course I did sow the peas and the sweet peas in January, didn't I? But it's kind of like the first proper sowing of the season. That won't happen until I get this done, so time for me to shut up and get on. There's some old hooks left in this with X bits of wire on, and again they're a bit gnarly to get out, so I've got this old window arm lever thing. Obviously I keep these things because they'll be useful, but if I just sort of slot it under and through, it just gives me a bit of leverage to get these things out rather than just trying to do it with my fingertips. There's not a soul on site this morning. I quite like that. For now. It would be nice to see folk later. It's just me and the birds. Good. Old post, which had lost quite a bit. I'm going to use it as a sort of a rough guide. It's exactly there, yes. I think I need to balance it across like that to get at it. So much of allotment life, it's one of the things I love, so much of it is about improvising and just getting creative with what you've got. Of course it's round, so it's rolling a bit. No, I'm not a master carpenter, obviously. I'm being lazy. I've got my workbench in this shed. But it's behind a load of gubbins. The shed really needs a sort out. Just a little bit. Of course, it's nipping together now. Let's turn it up to the way. It wants to split. Oh well, there we go. Right. This bit of post, I'm not sure if you can be able to see because of the light, but it is, oh, light, there we go. It's really pretty solid. Yay! That was a good find. Now to attach these screws, which look to have really blunt ends. So I'm going to have a little look in my tool scraps box in the shed to see if I've got some sharper screws. I could have done with bringing my power screwdriver down. But actually, you know what? On such a beautifully quiet morning like this, it's sort of lovely to work with hand tools, isn't it? And just keep the noise temperature down. Right, time to pop you back in. I need a wedge. Yes, I definitely need a wedge. Excuse the noise in the background. That's one of our, that's Helimed, it's the flying ambulance. The little park next door is often used as a landing area. Sadly, that probably means some sort of road traffic accident. Now, it isn't perfect. I've got two. Oh, let me bring you closer to show you what I'm talking about. Let me go find a wedge and then I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Yay and hooray! Oh, this feels significant. I feel like I'm back in the garden, I'm back in action. And as always, happiness really is a plot. Oh, and perfect timing with the tulips as well. So what I was just saying a second ago, this isn't perfect, I'll need to redo bits, but the holes where this bracket is, the holes are really big on the bracket, so the screw heads weren't big enough to hold it. So I've had to shove a second one in there. I will keep an eye out for screws with bigger heads and make a better wedge. I've got a bit of piping shoved in there for now. Yeah, I definitely need a better wedge, but for now, yay! We're back on. Right, I need to do a couple more beds today, but, oh, I know, seed sowing first. Just before I start sowing, getting all my bits ready, there's one job I want to do first, which is a really important job, and it may prove to be the singular most important job I do this year. I've got here a pot containing a mix of garden soil and all that lovely horse poo that I bought. We had that big delivery and I was delighted. I can't remember whether it was on Facebook I mentioned it or it was probably on one of my videos, and of course, and I'd completely forgotten about this, quite a few people were sort of like, worried because of this poisoning of our plants by, I can't remember the name of it, Aminopyralid or something. It's a herbicide which has been used in agriculture on grain crops. The problem is it has found its way into other things because it's found its way into other things. So for example, both the hay that horses are eating and the straw bedding that they have in their stalls. I've completely forgotten about that risk. So separate gloves for this job. I'm being like an immunology nurse for this one. I don't want to cross-contaminate anything. Where I would like to use the horse poo will be for my squash beds, because squash are really hungry, greedy plants. And the idea being that now going forward, each year, if this is all right, I'll get a load and add it to, next year's squash beds. So that every 4 years, actually because I'm doing 2 lots of beds, it's going to be every 2 years, those beds will be getting that addition. So other plants later on will love it, but the squash will really love it. Now, I won't be planting the squash out for about 6 weeks. Great. So I've got time to test it by, can't get the lid off now, by planting a couple of beans. So this Aminopyralid, I can't remember the word. I will put it in the description below. It seems to be, I'm going to pot 3 in this pot. It's my spare gigantes, because they usually grow quite well and quite quickly. So this amino thing, it seems to particularly affect tomatoes. I was going to have it on the tomato beds, a squash, and beans. So I thought, okay, I've got 6 weeks till I want to use those beds. These beans will grow before that 6 week time. I've just got time for this experiment. So yeah, pop them in and hope for the best. So the sort of the signs of this poisoning of our gardens is stunted growth, and also leaf curl. If you go online and put it in, you'll see lots and lots of pictures of the effect of it. So I just hope so much that all that lovely poo I got is indeed lovely poo. Right, these gloves off, and they can go home and be washed. Give this a drop of water. Now, that's the other thing. I just went to get a trowel. Oh dear, sounds like a skip being filled. A trowel full of soil to mix in with this. What was really useful is putting my trowel down, and it's something I talk about quite often, is that underneath under the surface of the soil, it's really quite moist down there. The reason I'm mentioning it is because we have had a couple of months of really dry weather. I was just saying about the fact that we've had 2 months of dry weather, and when I came to the plot to do that tour, I was a bit shocked at the dryness. So things in pots, cuttings, what have you, they do need watering. The reason I'm mentioning the watering today is because I had thought that maybe the garlic would need some, maybe the broad beans would need some. What I would always advise before, apart from pots, we pretty much know they are going to need watering. All that surface area of the pot to warm, helping evaporation, what have you. Also, if they're really small pots, evaporates really quickly. But things where you've got things in the ground, do stick your finger or your trowel down into the soil before you water, because it may be that yes, the surface looks really dry, but actually a couple of centimetres down, there's perfectly enough moisture down there. So I'm going to hold off watering my garlic and broad beans and just hope we do get some rain. Right, the bean Aminopyralid experiment, I've given that a pot of water. It's now sitting in the cold frame. Not for any reason other than that's where I tend to put things. I know where they are. Need to clear the cold frame out. Okay, so the sowings for today, I'm not going to show you the sowings because it's going to take me ages. I'm going to start on my winter garden. In other words, my brassicas. I would normally like to get these sown by the end of March, just beginning of April. I think it's about the 15th or 16th now. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, in the past, I've had to sow again in May when things haven't worked. Now, I can't even remember what I've got. I've got such a collection. But I do know, sort of my main things are going to be my Cavallo Nero, my Tuscan kale, or Nero di Toscana. It's all the same thing. That's my lovely, tall, slender, with those beautiful, heavily crinkled, dark green leaves. Gorgeous. Cut and come again. Fantastic veg for the garden. I've got some red kale, and then I've got a real mixture of purple sprouting broccoli. A lot of this is sort of old seed, leftover seed. I'm just gonna, those two will be my main sowings. The rest, I'm just gonna chuck a load in and see what happens and use up some of this old seed. So for sowing, I'm going to use, now this is the beautiful, really sturdy cell tray that arrived with, I think it was some purple sprouting broccoli and Cavallo Nero from Paul for my birthday last year. The present was the plants in it and to keep this. It's fantastic. I've been trying to buy some more of these because they're so sturdy, they should last for years. He got them from a company called Containerwise. I've been looking and looking since the end of December. They haven't got any stock. So I think Paul is one of those, what do they call it? Trendsetter. Influencer. Paul is definitely an influencer. No one could get hold of them. They've all been bought. So I've got one of these and then the rest are my horrid, I mean, they're falling to pieces. They're so flimsy. These are about 4 years old and they're really on their last legs. As and when I can, as these really disintegrate beyond use, I will be replacing with these long-term sturdy ones. So it's 3 by 5 cells, so 15 cells, and quite simply I will pop 4 seeds per cell, maybe 5, as one of my favourite words, quincunx. A quincunx is 5, as you would see it on a die. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 in the middle, 5. In a quincunx. How has it taken me 4 years to share that word? So I'll get on. Obviously I've got my labels and bits and pieces ready. This would be great to get these sowings done. Once they're done, obviously they will all then sit in gravel trays, probably into the cold frame again. It's just tidy, it's out of the way, but the cold frame will now have its windows open. I don't want these being cosseted and protected. In another few weeks, when I start to, fingers crossed, bring things like peppers, tomatoes and squash from home to harden off in the cold frame, these will all come out. They'll go on the deck so that the cold frame can be shot up against chill for those more tender things. But for now, they'll go in the cold frame. And another reason for that is I need to clear the deck. I need to clear space on the deck. It's definitely that time of year, isn't it, where we're playing Tetris, both with our seedlings on our windowsills and dining tables and what have you at home, and we're now playing Tetris in the garden with our sheds and decks and cold frames and greenhouses and continue looking for space. Anyway, great, I'm looking forward to cracking on with this, which I'm going to do now. Once I've done this, I am going to prepare another bed And I know, like, this bright sunshine today, it's gorgeous, isn't it? But as I said at the beginning, we are still getting almost pretty much down to frost at night. So I'll just keep on keeping on preparing these beds, and then hopefully into next week I can have some mammoth sowing sessions. Potatoes, onions, carrots, leeks, parsnips, calendula. Bring it on! It's great, isn't it? All right, lovelies. Oh, fab. We're back, properly back. I will see you all again really soon, I hope. Whether it's... No, I'm going to keep that under wraps for now. There is something specific I want to bring you in the next couple of videos. So that might be the next one, or it might be the one after the next. Doesn't matter. I will, in a few days' time, see you all again. So until then, please take care of yourselves. Keep well. Keep plugging away at your gardens. And, you know, if you're like me, getting those minor disabilities happening, just think to yourself, do a bit, sit a bit. Do a bit, sit a bit. All right, lovelies. The garden police are on their way. They're going to arrest me for poor bed management. I'll see you all again really soon. Cheerio.